Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. I hope everybody is having a great Memorial Day weekend. Anyway, tonight on the live stream, we're going to talk about the lack of leadership. Well, it's not leadership. All they do is want to control us. The controlling people, our leaders, and the price we're paying because of it. Spit that all out. But yeah, we got people that want to control us, not lead us, because they don't have the capability of leading. So anyway, that's what we're going to discuss this evening. Now I realize I'm on a little late for my live streams, but I'm trying to shake the channel up, trying to get the algorithm off balance. I like my channel back the way it used to be. Okay, before all this shadow banning really hit bad, but so I'm trying to shake it up a little bit. All right. But I hope everybody's enjoying your Memorial Day. One thing we sure have a lot of holidays these days, don't we? But the holidays of the past, when I was growing up, I remember, the big ones were Memorial Day, the 4th of July, obviously Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Halloween as a kid. But, holidays were just different back then. You know why? I think because we didn't have so many rules. I mean, you go to a place where we used to spend holidays as a family, and people would be camping and stuff. Some of the places they camp is off limits now. It's just crazy all the restrictions we have, and they're like. I'm not saying we don't need rules to sit there and maintain order, but we're beyond order. I mean, this goes into another thing. There's so many rules that control us that holidays, I mean, are they even really any fun? Oh, well, what do we got to look forward to on holidays? More cops on the road. I drive like a grandpa anyway, but I mean, it's not like the cops are doing anything. I mean, for Jeepers Cripes, there's so many places, I'm sure you know of a place where people are speeding and the cops just don't do nothing. But on these holidays, they're working overtime. We don't have to say gas goes up because it's already up plenty high. Sure the heck didn't go down. But holidays just ain't as fun as they used to be. They aren't as festive and celebratory as they used to be. I mean, everybody's kind of always looking on their shoulder. Did I go too far? It's just the freedom. That's one thing with the holidays, and you can't enjoy them like you used to. That should show you right there the freedoms that we're losing. All right? Anyway, I got some people showing up, so let's get into the subject. Please, before we get started, please hit the thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. Anything to help the channel grow, I'd appreciate it. And check out my other content. I got posts, shorts, live streams, well over 2,100 videos on this channel, so check it out. But let's get into the subject about the lack of, we don't have leadership in this world today. All we have is control. I made a short and a post that said, when you have the ability to lead, you don't need the power to control. And that's what we have these days. These people that we have in charge of us. For one thing, this would have been somebody as a alpha male would look up to and say, that's my role model. But they don't have no leadership abilities. None whatsoever. Like George Washington had. George Washington had leadership abilities. That's what brought the men together to win the revolution when it should have fell apart many times. Was leadership. Not control or power over somebody. Not beating them with a damn stick. Or making more regulations they got to follow to make their world a little bit smaller with a little less escape routes. That's what controllers do. It's all about control. A leader can lead you and you can still live your life the way you want. But if you got somebody who wants to control you, anything you do away against their norm, they can't deal with. And that's what we got in today's world. I mean, all over the world. England, terrible what your government's doing to you. Countries being taken over, your culture being destroyed. Same with Germany and France and our country. It ain't no different because we got controllers in charge. I mean, if you somebody who thinks instead of leading, a leader knows he has rules he has to follow, and controller makes up the rules as they go. Okay? Or don't follow the rules, even their rules at all. I mean, do you feel like you're being led or you're being controlled? You're being led in a direction of you being free and making your own decisions and making your country great, or you're being controlled what your actions you're allowed to do, waiting for the newest decree from the government telling you what you can or can't do. I mean, especially during the COVID thing, it was crazy. I just don't understand why people fall for it. You know, I was in the Marine Corps, okay? And people could say, well, all you had to do was tell people what to do there. I'll just answer this with this. You've had a job, I'm sure, where you love the job. And you worked extra hard, put forth that extra effort without even being asked. You did it. And then you had bosses that you couldn't fucking stand. And you just did the minimum. Okay, you don't think that's the same way in the service? I mean, I was a hard charger all the way. I had to sit there and follow orders from people I respected and didn't respect. But people that were not as motivated as me, well, or as disciplined as I was, you know, they were looking for leaders. When you got in charge in the service, a group of men that came from different parts of the country, different cultures of that country, different mindsets. And you had to bring them all together. You had to get them to follow you, to look at you as a leader, not as a freaking tyrant with a big stick beating them. That gets nowhere. You know, my guys would have followed me through hell because they would have known I'd have been leading the way. And it was great. You know, I never sat there. I did what I expected out of my guys to do. They just knew it. They knew I was always there. But I had their respect because I was their leader. I never once had to sit there and threaten them you give them an order, boom, they went and did it. Almost enthusiastically. So, but like I say, leading, I've been a leader. And I've also had to follow. And I learned how to be a leader because of a lot of bad examples. Anyway, hey, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Anything to help the channel grow. These social media platforms are really being hard on any channel that's trying to bring out the truth, try to make you be a better person, try to sit there and bring us together and fight these controllers over us and bring new leaders to govern us. Okay, so I appreciate all the support. You say, watch my other content. Well over 2,000 2,200 videos now. Check it out. Should be something there you like. I got an interesting mind sometimes. Okay. But let's get back to these other these controllers we got. I mean, now the Iran war is over again, right? There's a peace deal again. Does anybody believe this shit? It's just another way for them to come out in the public and say something to control us. We do need to rewind ourselves. Military experience or not, that even with military experience, we see so little. We have the smallest scope of what's actually going on and what it means. Yeah. See, this is one thing about being in the military and being a Marine on the ground side and being a deploying unit. I got to see the bad parts of the world. Okay. We pulled into port. I got to see the halfway decent part of a country. When we left the ship by helicopter, I didn't. A lot of Americans don't realize they really got tunnel vision. Americans sacrifice a lot and they put up with a lot. Are you a real person? Yeah, of course I am a real person. That's one thing about YouTube, okay? They are constantly pushing me to use AI to enhance my videos. Why would I do that? See, this is me, crazy ass Marine Corps me. I don't need to enhance craziness, okay? And people crazy. I want to solve this fucking problem. But yeah, enhance it. Are you fake? You're AI. Really? Do you think a computer could come up with the stuff I come up with? Like I say, just check out my shorts. You'll see. Okay, there's no AI algorithm that can sit there and think like my mind. Curse, just like the rest of it. If you think Trump's a blessing, you need a shrink. You need to watch my other content, sir. You need to watch my other content. Yes, I voted for Trump, but I'm one of them that is definitely not on the Trump train no more. The thing is, I don't like either political party. I'm a constitutional conservative. It's not like I voted, kind of when you get for voting, the other side is so fucking out of whack, and Trump lied enough to get us to believe it. I voted for Trump. But you know what I learned? I'm never fucking voting again. That's what I learned. But the man, like I say, just check out my other content, and you'll see my opinion on all these leaders. I mean, Trump is a controller. Stormer, whatever his name is in England, he's a controller. De France, I can't remember these guys anymore. How long's he been in there? He's a controller. I mean, Xi Jinping, he's dictator for life now. Putin, still there. I mean, all the major players never change. And in this country, we may not have the same person, but they're all playing for the same fucking team. No matter what, if they're Democrat or Republican, they're on the same damn team. Macron, France. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. But how long's he been there? God, I'm so sick of these controllers in charge. I want a leader. Either lead me, follow me, or get the fuck out of my way. Okay? And I'm telling these guys, get the hell out of my way. You're not putting a stop sign in front of me just because, you think you're controlling me to stop me from living my life. I don't know what it's like to be. I know what it's like to be in another country, but for another country, the mindset of them to not be able to have the freedoms like I did growing up in the United States. And then they sit there as I get older. They think they're going to take that shit from me, and I'm just going to be okay with that? After being free and serving my country and living the life I wanted all these years, now I'm going to have a controller flat out come and tell me everything I need to, how I'm supposed to think. Oh, and if you disagree with the Trumpster or Israel or MAGA, guess what? You're on a list now. That's what a controller does. A controller puts you on a list. These people aren't leaders. They never, all our politicians have never done anything to lead anybody. Ever. I mean, they got voted in because big money realized they can make a profit off of them if they were in the Congress or Senate. And don't tell me that don't happen, because we just saw it with Thomas Massie. It was happening in the 90s too. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I started getting into politics, and I got so fucking disgusted with what I saw, realizing you couldn't change anything. And since I couldn't be bought with money, all right, crazy time. I moved out of America, and I'll come back after the revolution. Well, believe me, it's time. That's one thing this channel is about. Bringing us together to realize that your neighbor's not your enemy. The government politician telling you your neighbor's your enemy. That's your enemy. You're fucking right, we need a revolution. I took an oath to the Constitution. and I feel to the American people, not to the Democratic Party or not to the Republican Party or any other fucking politician or to a immoral, corrupt, evil government. Our founding fathers gave us all the tools we needed in the Declaration of Independence. The duty, it's order. When they say duty, as a Marine, that's an order from the founding fathers. Our duty to throw off such government and replace it with new guards for our future security. That's an order from the founding fathers, which far outweighs any order from these morons in charge now. Damn right we need one. You know, what's it going to take for it to start? Our money being worthless? We're already there. Endless wars? We're already there. In debt up to our assholes? We're already there. Our constitutional rights being taken from us? Already there. Illegals taking over our country? We're already there. I don't understand what it's going to take for some Americans to finally say, we've had enough, where some Americans are still living comfortably enough not to want to change it. And it's, you know, for us old people, I want a good retirement without having to worry about, well, you're 70, you're no longer a use or an asset to the community, so you get no more services. But our children and our grandchildren and our future generations. I mean, how much debt we put on them just so we can maintain our standard of living so that our unborn generations are going to have to pay for this shit. Who does that to our unborn children? God, what country does that? Earth is flat, guys. I am missing a person. Can you help? I don't know. So what do you do? Please enlighten us, bro. I am I got a little tree business, and I'm a cowboy. I do a lot of things. I help out a lot of neighbors. But see, the thing with me is I have cut my cost down to where I can live on $1,400 or $1,500 a month. My time is more important. But I do got a small tree business. And, you know, if you watch my videos, I'm a cowboy too, and I help with the cattle and stuff, odds and ends stuff, you know, because the neighbors, they can't find good help. I'm a 58-year-old man doing the work of a 20-year-old because they can't find no 20-year-olds to do it. Thank God I got a strong back. 58 years old and I'm still being used for the strong back. I tell you what, you know, I didn't keep physically fit just so I could sit there and be used as a strong back when I'm 58. The thing is, I don't chase fucking money, okay? It's a necessary evil in today's world, and I plan on participating in as least of it as possible. I'd rather have my time to learn new stuff, to experience new stuff, what the soul is supposed to do. You know, your soul isn't here to sit there and go to work 60 hours a week, struggle, and make some rich guy money. That's not what the experience of your soul is supposed to be. It's supposed to learn new stuff. And that's what, you know, I've worn many hats and I'm happy. You know, I live in the Leave It to Beaverland still. Traditional America, where the counties have less than 2,000 people in it. You don't have to lock your doors or take the keys out of your vehicle. You know, where kids can walk to school. It's just small town America. Flyover country. You know, the ones that politicians don't give a shit about us. And maybe that's why we get to live still in traditional America, Leave It to Beaverland. Because our politicians don't care about us. They're not, I mean, you people in the big city, you guys have cell towers everywhere. You come up here like Lake McConnell, you can say I understand what true freedom is. And the thing about out here, you can be a Republican or a Democrat. It don't matter. Okay? You come out into this town creating problems, both the Republicans and Democrats are going to kick you out of the fucking town because they don't want nothing messing with their lives. I mean, some of this stuff that goes on in the big city, you try that here, you're going to have the ambulance picking you up and you're going to be headed for an evaluation. How long have you been missing? Just hit a point. Is it for walking on the moon? Anyway, I see I got some trolls in here. That's okay. You know, like I say, we're all on the sinking ship together. It's going to get bad, people. But for some people, it's going to take a bomb going off in their fucking front yard or in their town for them to say, oh shit, I guess tomorrow isn't going to be better than yesterday, or today isn't going to be better than yesterday was. Anyway, but this is what happens when you don't have leaders. All tyrants, all they do is turn into controllers. And that's what we got running. And it's like everybody's just so content with their lives. And nobody is content. I mean, jeepers cripes, I go on, or I watch TikTok videos on YouTube that people post, and the younger generation, the working younger generation, is pissed off. And all they want to do is blame the boomers for it. It's the boomers' fault. You know, and I got kids their age and grandkids, and they're telling me that I like watching my kids suffer. You know, they won't blame the politicians. It won't do nothing there. You know, I'm not going to stand up. Then I won't be able to have my Starbucks coffee if I start a fight. I agree. If everything you say, but I haven't seen so many say it in how to offer no path to achieve it, and I want it, the path. The thing is, eventually it's going to come. Eventually the war is going to come. Because every people, after dealing with so much tyranny, just freedom's the only thing that comes out of it. You know, and it's going to happen here. Especially in this country. I would assume that, the American colonists took a lot from the British government for decades before they started the revolution. I mean, when Benjamin Franklin was a teenager, he was writing about the evils of the British government, and he was in his 60s, 50 years later before the revolution started. Eventually, everybody will get to the end of their rope, whether it's financial shit that bothers them, and that will be when we hit hyperinflation. Well, it's just infringements on your rights like mine, like me, that upsets you. They've already crossed my line. Like I said, there's no way an evil entity like our government, full of demonic fucking souls, pure evil, is going to govern me. Because like I say, when I go up to heaven, they can come shoot me the fuck down. But I'll tell God I never took a knee to him fucking ever. Okay? And I don't care how much they want to shadow ban my channel. I'm going to be out here speaking the truth. Like I say, there's a leader in all of us. I'm just brave enough to show it. Welcome to Hidden Truths. Everybody needs to find that leader in themselves and not be afraid to show it. Evil, corrupt boomers in power are, this is the thing I don't understand, okay? And if you're a younger one, Brad, I sympathize with you. Because I went to school with these people, right? But I was a farm boy. Like I say, I had blisters when I was 6 years old. So I never had blisters when I was 8. I didn't get them no more. But I didn't realize that the kids that lived in the city, or we had kids in our class that thought like this. And I realized, I ran into one of my neighbors a few years back. Hadn't seen her since we graduated high school, right? And I happened to be driving by where I grew up, and she was walking her dog. We were talking, And not that we ever talked in high school or nothing, but she starts going on with this flat out liberal talking, retired a fucking teacher. Oh my God. And this was after the 2020 election. And, she wasn't listening to shit. And I'm like, this person used to be in my class. It was my neighbor. And this is the way she thought. And I just don't remember seeing all these fucking crazy pieces of shit that are in charge that did this. And yes, you're right. The boomers and the Gen X did this. For some reason, some of them grew up so tough and so hard, from what I don't know, that they sat there and had to destroy the younger generation. I mean, the boomers and Gen X were the last generations to get the best education in this country. And now they feel, the ones in charge, feel that children aren't capable of entry level, like Trump said, our kids aren't even capable of entry level jobs, so we got to have H-1B visa workers. But don't worry, Barron Trump's capable of making hundreds of millions of dollars on the stock market in a matter of months. How do you think about myth? Maybe you are the best spokesman for education, just saying. If we don't educate our children and our children are our future, do I need to say more? When you can't do simple math in your head, and I was going on today too about, retention. We were taught retention. Not that smart people don't have books for references because they can't remember everything, but kids don't retain anything anymore. It's right there on Google. They'll ask Google a question, right? But I've gone to YouTube and stuff to learn stuff. Good place for education. Anyway, they don't retain nothing. They'll ask a question to Google. Google will answer it. Somebody like me will retain it and remember it and use it store it away for future use. These kids don't retain that at all. When you got these new teachers saying that kids are so filled up with dopamine from phones and stuff that they can give a class, I don't know, about Peter Pan or Peter Rabbit, whatever. Read a page from a book to them. And right after they get done reading that page, start asking questions about what they said, and they don't have a clue. These teachers say Gen Alpha is not good. It's got issues. We made our lives too convenient. Nobody knows they can't endure anything. When we have to get our freedom back from our corrupt government, how much you think you're going to have to endure then? Financially, you're going to have to endure everything the colonists did when they had to win their independence and freedom from England. It's just we got more technology. It ain't going to make the suffering any less. If anything, it's going to make it worse. But education, for 15 years, at least 15 years, I have been asking seniors when they graduate, who do we win our independence from? And not one's got it right yet. The ones that do give me an answer say France. And I just sit there and say, what language do you speak? And all of a sudden you see this light bulb click in their head like, oh yeah, that would make sense. Like I said, these kids wonder why they ain't got a future because you were never given the proper training to have a future. See, the proper training to become an adult means a kid's got to experience, a kid's got to experience some hardships. It's got to be able to deal with kid problems, emotional and otherwise. I mean, if you're protected from kids' problems because you don't want your kids to feel bad or be hurt, then what the hell are they going to do in the adult world when you know not as well as I, things really get fucking rough. I know you are an American because you can't stop talking. I'll tell you what, you know why YouTube's so easy for me? You can give me a subject and I'll talk about it for an hour. I could talk about it in front of, I may be a lone wolf, but me talking in front of a group of 1 million people, if I had to, on a subject wouldn't bother me a bit. Give me something to talk about and I'll talk about it. Yeah, I'm all full of opinions. Like I say, go check out my other content. Got over 2,200 videos on this channel. But then again, we live in a world where there's a lot to say, okay? 8 years ago, I didn't even know what YouTube was. Or maybe not, 10 years ago. And I never even would have thought about having a channel on YouTube. But then after that Oliver Anthony song, Richmond, north of Richmond, I could sit out here with a clear conscience, knowing that I had made all the right decisions to maximize my ability to survive and deal with these idiots. Stand idly by here in my own little world and watch the rest of the world. See, I'm outside the bubble. And watch everything who's inside that bubble or cage or whatever you want to talk about it. And not do anything to help them, okay? I'm trying to open the door. Okay, come out here and see it like I see it. But if you come out that door, you got to be an independent, freedom-thinking person. And that means you're responsible for yourself, and the government's not going to come there to rescue you if you make a mistake. That's what keeps them in there. Self-responsibility. Okay, and of course, back in colonial days, if you weren't responsible for yourself, guess what? You stopped living. They didn't have social services back then. Anyway, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. Check out my other content. Like I say, I have plenty of videos on this channel. I'm sure you'll see something you like. Check out my new post. Yeah, I learned how to use the AI a little bit. I do use it on my posts. I'm never going to use it on my content, but my posts, I'll use AI to create posts. And, they got a little upset with me last night and suspended my AI account for a little bit. Because I was asking to make pictures they didn't want to make. How are you, Uncle, going? Okay, you are more invaluable than you even know. You lose people with life knowledge that can't be gained in. Yeah, every day we remind you of a lot. My coworker, Mike. Yeah, this is the thing. You have an older person, they want to share their knowledge. An older person doesn't have a problem sitting down and talking to you and describing stuff in detail and teaching you of the old ways. That's what you got all this knowledge for. It's just supposed to be passed on to your children and stuff. You just don't learn in school. They don't learn in school anyway, I don't think. But the whole life is learning. And, you get older, you want to share this knowledge. No different than my grandparents and my parents. Especially, when my grandparents especially would tell me, besides walking uphill both ways, 3 miles in snow, but they would sit there and say how we don't understand freedom. Okay? And they understood free, and they even had freedom taken from them, but free back then. I mean, what's technology brought us more? More surveillance, more control, more of your lives being absolutely, with the data centers. I mean, do you realize that pretty soon your life experiences are going to become down to a QR fucking code? A QR code? That's the way the computer's going to look at you. A QR code that can be deleted at any damn time. Hey, how's it going? What's the topic? We're talking about our world leaders who are no longer world leaders, but they want to be controllers. They want to turn us all into serfs. You know, a leader will allow us still to be free minded, independent, because a strong leader comes from a strong public, okay? A strong citizenry. That's, you know, a leader makes that strong. A controller, they just beat the fucking population down too submissive. You know, it, like I say, do you feel controlled or do you feel like we're being led? I know what I feel like. Anyway, sure appreciate everybody being here. If you like the content, please hit the thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. You know, like I say, this channel is about bringing people together. Before you start getting along with your neighbor, discussing real issues, even though how you may have to tiptoe around it at first. Americans need to start communicating to solve our problems. You know, you work for a company where the management doesn't communicate with each other and doesn't communicate with the people underneath them. What happens? The company's a pile of shit. You know, communication, we used to learn with two ways. You had to communicate in a way where they understood it, you know, and they could comprehend it. Nowadays, people don't even want to communicate. It's all about telling you what to do. I'm not listening to this shit no more. You know, make more money so we can sit there and go deeper in debt and make some rich guy richer and stuff. All we do is have constant problems in this country, and they're getting fucking worse. You know, and then with this Iran deal, oh, we won the war. Oh, I'm going to bomb the smithereens. Oh, we need regime change and unconditional surrender. Stock market goes up and down. And the rich people sit there and get rich. You know, they say the stock market lost. No, you lost in the stock market. The money you put in there went to the big guy to cover his losses. And people keep sticking money in that son of a bitch. You know, the best investment you can make is yourself. You'll have a lot better return with yourself than you will giving your money to somebody who doesn't know you, doesn't give a shit about you, and it basically realizes he's stealing your money. Okay? Another thing with this country. I don't remember growing up ever being told that being rich is your number one thing to do. Being happy. You know, we were taught, be happy. Life isn't fair. It's as fair as you make it. Find something you want to do. Have a life doing that. And if you work hard at it, it will come. And that's the way it used to be. Until the government got involved, decided, oh, he got an extra quarter left. We need that from him. Till they flat out took it through regulations and theft through taxes, so we can no longer have, you know, the American dream. I was middle class at one time. Fuck that. All you do is get punished. Especially if you're a single white guy who's middle class. You get fucked up the ass. All those hours you put in, all that time you put in for nothing to show for it. So you can live the American dream and buy a house. And then you find out that, oh, you don't own the son of a bitch anyway. They took the American dream away from us through rules, regulation, and over-regulated and over-controlling government. To live the American dream, we cannot have a controlling government, because then the government controls your dream. And the American dream, you control it. Like I say, do you feel like you're in control of your life? Or like I say, you're waiting for the, oh, you got to pay your taxes. I got to get tabs on all the money you spend. I'm just done with it. Like I said, I'm not wasting any more of my time than I have to. I'll be as poor as I can possibly be because that's the only fucking way you get left alone in this country now. I live in flyover country and I make it so I live on next to nothing. So I'm not even a piece of fly shit on the wall. But then again, I come on YouTube and that puts me out there, neon lights. Woo, 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 woo. But like I said, I don't really give a shit. Okay, if I got to sit here and stand I'm the town crier. The town crier was the guy back in the colonial days that got in the town square and started screaming the news what was going on in his opinion. That's me. Okay, I'm not going to be shut up by some rich billionaire, that thin-skinned piece of garbage that wants to silence me because if the right person or a few people were, my God, that guy's saying the truth. And then they lose that control. If I get somebody thinking enough about independence, being independent and responsible for themselves, and realize that freedom does come with a price, even if we don't have to fight a government, it still comes with a price. Because you know what? When you're free, you're also free to make mistakes. But the good man learns from the mistakes. Democrats are the ones with wanting more taxes and tons of regulation. They're both the same. Both parties steal from you through taxes, spend it on shit you don't want fucking spent on, and do everything they can to infringe on your constitutional rights and lie to us, never transparent. You know, we're a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Okay? Not for the lobbyist. None of that shit. America first. You shouldn't even have to say that. You know, America first, I put out a short. The best policy for America first, the one that worked the best in the past, was called a revolution. You ready to put America first? I know I am. Anyway, I usually pop. I don't mean, hero. I'm just a guy who's had enough. I'm a Marine that's had enough. I'm so tired of this shit. And like I say, it's not only me, it's my kids and my grandkids. I mean, when my grandson in elementary, had to go to school with a litter box in his room in Minnesota because two of the kids thought they were fucking furries. Yeah. And then my grandson would tease these kids and he would get in trouble. You realize teasing people is to get them to conform to the way culture is, okay? If somebody thinks they're a cat and you're teasing them, you're just trying to straighten them out. If a boy thinks they're a girl and you're teasing them, you're just trying to straighten them the fuck out. But this day, in this country, we sit there and encourage mental illness. Minnesota has gone to the dogs. I know, that's why I had to get out of there. Fuck. I was having nightmares. I mean, okay. When you got to call your insurance agent and ask during the George Floyd shit, and ask your insurance agent if your homeowner's policy covers terroristic threats, like if a mob comes and burns my house, it's time to get out of Minnesota. Plus, I was, you think I stand up for myself here. We're talking Minnesota during the pandemic or the plandemic, the Simon Says show. I never wore a mask. Going to the Walmart, all that shit, never wore a mask, never social distance, never went the way of the lines, never got a fucking shot, never got sick, went to work every goddamn day. Yeah, that state was beyond real. The only place that I will not go back to, the only place that put their foot down and stood up to me and said, you're going to wear a mask or we're going to charge you with trespassing and call the cops, was Menards. Well, guess what? I won't go to Menards no more. And it's amazing. Remember all that hype about how we're going to die of the COVID shit? Hell, we're 2 masks. We need a vaccine every 3 months. Where did all that go? It kind of went away when people got sick of it because it never really existed. Why is this a whiny baby rat? I tell you what, you trolls are something else. Like I say, in real life, we'd probably be friends. Anyway, I appreciate you being here. No, it's not a whiny baby rant, okay? You want to see some rants, like I said, I can go Alex Jones on you if you want me to. I know a couple people have died of COVID. Yeah. But nobody died of the flu that year. Normally 36,000 people die of the flu every year, average. Not one person died of the flu that year. I'm glad you know some people that, or I shouldn't say I'm glad. I see you know some people that died of COVID. I got a question for you. I don't know of anybody who died of COVID, but I know of people that died because they got the COVID vaccine. What about you, sir? My stepfather died because of the COVID vaccine. I know other people that have been injured because of it. Okay? How many of you know that died of the COVID vaccine? Mr. Smart Pants. Oh, that's right. Remember that motorcycle guy got in a motorcycle accident in Florida, but he died of COVID? Because the hospital, whoever got money off of it, and the relatives made a change on his death certificate, they didn't die of COVID? You mean that shit? You mean the stuff where I had a guy who was on my insemination team, and he went to go test it, but the line was so long, he still filled out all the paperwork, right? But he never got tested. He ended up leaving before the testing. He wasn't waiting in line no more. And then he got a notice 3 days later in the mail saying that he tested positive for COVID? You mean that shit? Only YouTube will watch from now on is Hidden Truths. Well, I appreciate it, but there's lots of other good channels out there. You know, Americans are, especially us vets, you know, I find not when I start listening to them, but a lot of the content creators that I listen to were prior Marines. It's not like I knew that when I started watching them. It's just it came out that they were prior Marines. You know, I guess we just kind of stick together even though we don't know each other, right? You too, Liz. This is the best. Bat suit flu. It's just, you know, I call it the ninja flu, whatever. It's just, the thing is with the pandemic, back in the 90s, I studied the 1918 Spanish flu quite intensively. From its conception in 1915, which I think in England, and all that shit. Okay? I think that was one of the big reasons for the ending of World War I. Because everybody was too fucking sick to fight a war. But that thing killed 10% of the population of the planet over a period of less than 2 years without air travel. Okay? It would go into a community and just wipe it out. Where they had mass graves, burying people. Heck, the graveyard in the little town I was in, it didn't double in size. I never had to ever wait for a funeral procession. The small hospital that we had in the area, well, it was a modern hospital, but smaller. That parking lot was never fucking full. Like I say, you know, a smart person reads the signs. Just doesn't sit there and listen to what somebody else is regurgitating. But, you know, what this country went through during that time violated all of our constitutional rights. Getting fired from a job because you won't take a vaccine. all citizens of the world protected under the Nuremberg Code from medical tyranny because of what the Jews had to go through in World War II. They actually passed a Nuremberg Code to protect citizens of the whole world. In any breaking of those 10 principles is crimes against humanity. Go read the 10 principles of the Nuremberg Code. Trump needs to be charged with crimes against humanity. Operation Warp Speed was crimes against humanity. This is one thing about our generations of the past, like our founding fathers in the World War II vets. Our founding fathers of the past put up with a tyrannical government for decades and came up with a government and wording of a Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights to give the tools to the citizens to maintain their freedom, knowing that a government will eventually take it away from you if you're not willing to stand up for it. To protect us, okay, from tyranny. It's just we got to act. Just like the Nuremberg Code after World War II, after what the Jews went through with the Nazis. We need to protect citizens of the world from this shit ever happening again. So they do what's necessary that needs to be done to protect future generations. And future generations just don't fucking care. But then again, if we all would have known the Nuremberg Code like I did, they would have never been able to push this pandemic. Anyway, yeah, we got some real evil people in charge, okay? And like I say, when you see President Trump with all his buddies, his families, and the elites in their room, all I see is the Hunger Games. And the rest of us are out in our districts busting our asses to give all our money in our futures, in our freedom and liberty, in our pursuit of happiness to the fucking Capitol so they can sustain their lifestyle. Not this guy, like I say. There's a hero in everybody. And, it just things got to get bad enough to bring it out, your hero out. Okay? But I'm on YouTube here. I don't like the word hero because it implies that you're willing. What's a hero? A hero is somebody who's willing to go above and beyond to help mankind or somebody else that nobody else will do, whether it be giving a cold man a cup of coffee or fighting a war for their freedom and liberty. Okay? Find the leader in you and bring out your hero. If we have enough heroes walking around this country, our controllers, like I say, we could have a non-violent revolution. It just depends on if we have 60% of the population behind us, the revolution's only going to last a little bit, okay? If you have 20%, it's not. I just don't know what the average American citizen can obviously want to still put up with. And like I say, I live out here and Leave It to Beaverland. How are you handling this if you're in the big city? How are you dealing with this stress every single day? Living in fear. Working your ass off, getting fucking nowhere. I don't know how you do it. And then they want to put everybody in 15-minute cities. Nope. You see that? That's my freedom. All right. Won't be doing YouTube from out there because I won't have cell service. Anyway, I've been going on for 55 minutes. They didn't want employees to sick or die or not getting vaccinated. For what? You got an immune system. I tell you what. Say, all these people are unhealthy. I have pushed myself physically my whole life. I'm 58 years old. Haven't been to the doctor in over 20 years. I'm extremely healthy. Like I say, I'm still used for my strong back at jobs because these 20-year-olds can't fucking do it. I don't have to take no medications. None of that shit. I have a strong immune system. One reason is because I get dirty a lot. I'm a working man. You know, when I used to work in the feedlot, in the first 5 minutes when I ran the hospital, I was covered in every fluid that a cow had in them. Okay? I drink water right out of the hose. I haven't weakened myself with antibiotic, this and that. I got a strong immune system. Maybe we should try that instead of going for your latest vaccine that you think you need. Why don't you get a membership to the gym? Always push healthy. When you get my age, health is wealth. And at my age, I'm the richest person I know. So anyway, and I'll take that any day. Anyway, so that's all I got for tonight. I'm going to get out of here. Say I appreciate everybody being here. Please hit that thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification and check out my other content and share it. You'll like it. Like I say, yeah, I don't have a problem getting on social media and telling the pieces of shit we got in charge that they're a piece of shit. Because you know what? In this country, I am allowed to criticize my politicians. In fact, it's part of being an American to criticize your politicians. No matter if they don't like it or not. If you're a thin-skinned little bitch that can't take a little criticism from somebody, you shouldn't be a politician. Anyway, well, I appreciate it. Why would you care about my name? Why would you care about my name? I like the name. Anyway, yeah, I appreciate it. I like to, this is just one person, though. You need to start spreading the word, talking to your neighbors. That's one thing about on social media. They can clamp down on my shadow ban my content here. You say you have the right to speak, but we'll determine whether you have the right to be heard or not. They can't control my face-to-face speech with people. And like I say, we live in really bad times. It's time to start discussing touchy subjects with people. Because the more we are afraid to speak and communicate, the more control the government gets over us. And that's not good. We're becoming slaves. I won't give up my freedom. I don't give a shit. I'm too much of a fucking scrapper with an independent. I'm self-sufficient, people. Like you say, I'm a lone wolf. There's no way I'm going to be controlled by these pieces of shit. Anyway, thanks, Tom. You kick ass. I appreciate it. Thank you for my moderators, and never stop talking. There's too much to talk about. Maybe it's because I have no company, right? But with everything going on, I could sit here and talk for another 2 hours. Just about the lack of leadership. I mean, in Ireland, where that girl, 14-year-old girl, pulled out a hatchet and a knife to protect her and her 12-year-old sister by somebody who didn't have their best interest in minds, and she gets punished? I just can't deal with it no more. If you want to act that way in another country, no, go back to your old country where that shit's acceptable. But here in the West, no, we're going to fight it. I love how, we're backwards, racist, white people who are pieces of shit, right? And our countries are garbage. But all these non-white non-national Americans, all these people want to come to white-dominated countries to live a better life, but they cut our country down. And all they want to do is bring their lifestyle over here, thinking that they can use our country and our money and our tax base to live a better life. I'm fucking done with it. Like I say, can you imagine if, I don't know, some Americans decided to move to the middle of Afghanistan and set up a constitutional republic in the middle of their country? Well, I wonder how they go for that. Just kind of like Michigan, where they want to, Dearborn, Michigan, where they want Sharia law, their own little part of fucking the Muslim area right there. They think they can come into this country and form their own little fucking country. Since fucking when? I don't like the USA people. What did I do to you? Just like the American, you sound like the Americans. All these stupid ass Americans. I don't like the Iranian people. They've done so much bad stuff to me. What? What did I do to you, sir, that you hate me? And what did this Iranian who goes to work every day and comes home to his family, raises his kids? What did that guy ever do to you in America? Where you need to hate him and feel you need to sit there and bomb their schools and blow up their children. Okay? Calm down. Us being calm and taking it easy and tomorrow will be better is what got us into this fucking mess. Calm down. Tell a Marine to calm down when he sees his country being taken over by domestic enemies and soon to be bombed by foreign countries. Calm down. What do you say to that? What do you say to that? This is why I'm a lone wolf and I stay away from people, because a lot of them just don't get it. A lot of them will flat out tell you how miserable they are every fucking day, and tell you that they want change, but there's nothing they can do to change it. They just got to accept it the way it is. Okay? When you think you can't stand up to your government, they got you exactly where they want you, on your fucking knees. If you think you can't change it, well, I know we can change it. It's happened in the past. We got a precedent set through a revolution that, yes, it can change. Just got to have the ambition and drive and for most Americans, they just haven't been fucked over enough. They don't got their credit card quite maxed out enough to where they're still living a little bit. Okay? Well, like I say, things are going to get tough. Wait till gas hits $8, $9, $10 a gallon. Okay? When the middle class starts getting hungry. All right? The most dangerous people is somebody who's starving. And obviously our government has forgot about that. Because, this is the thing. When our money becomes worthless and we no longer can afford social services and there's no longer EBT, the only reason we ain't got soup kitchen lines is because the government patches that up with EBT. When we ain't got that anymore, and we got, 100 million starving people on the starving people, what do you think is going to happen after 3 days when they don't have no food? Talk about things falling apart real quick. Okay? That's the thing about being in control. A leader, the people keep themselves happy with freedom. A controller who controls everybody's life has to make sure they control it in a way where everybody's happy. Because if enough people decide to rise up, the illusion of control is no longer there. Imagine Xi Jinping having to keep 1.3 or 1.4 billion people happy at one time. Or China could fall just like any place else. You don't think a communist country can fall in one day to where the people aren't allowed to have arms, and the government and the leaders of the government can be taken out and shot in one day. Just study Romania, December of 1989. See what happened to Ceausescu and his wife. Oh, yeah. When people start hurting enough, or, when we become our government's already insolvent, but we're no longer the world reserve currency, and we become a third world country overnight. And our military power, yeah, we'll have nuclear weapons, but we ain't gonna have 12 nuclear carrier groups, okay? We'll be lucky to have 3 to protect the East Coast, West Coast, and the Gulf of America, right? Surprised you haven't named it the Gulf of Trump yet. Is that a background of horses? I love horses, yes. Like I say, if you watch some other content, I'm a cowboy. So one of my traits, yes, horses I think will be very important in the future. But yeah, I love horses. And like I say, that's my retirement. It's just a tapestry, but, that's freedom. Yeah, I don't have the conveniences of the new world, but I really don't give a shit. I'm not willing to give up my freedom for conveniences, okay? If you have drive and ambition to achieve something, you don't need a Cadillac of tools or toys to do it, okay? Anyway, holy cow, I've been on here for an hour. I'm going to get out of here, and appreciate got the moderator. I tell you, my dream is to be a cowboy. I tell you what, watch that too. I was 40 years old, and I went out to the mountains of Wyoming by Pathfinder Ranch by Independence Rock, the Miracle Mile for fishing. We ran cows on 280 square miles, and I'd worked with cattle in my life, but this was where I learned to be a cowboy. I knew how to ride. Like Haney said, I could get on the back of a horse and not fall off, okay? But I can rope and ride, and, I'm a cowboy now. Follow your dreams. You're never too old to follow your dreams, all right? And, that, the first brand, I sat there and practiced riding. Plus on the work, but we had an indoor arena and an outdoor arena, and I'd ride on the indoor arena, practicing throwing my rope and stuff. Practice. And I tell you what, this 40-year-old, when we went to our first branding, and I roped that first calf and drug it to the branding pit on my horse. Oh my God. I mean, you're talking about 40 years of dreams coming true that I had accomplished. Okay, and believe me, learning how to rope, it's a skill just like anything else. Okay, but I had achieved it, and I love being able to wear the hat of a cowboy and working with cows like I do now and stuff, and the ability to chase calves down and rope them and stuff. One thing about the rodeo, okay, we got when I was in Wyoming there, we got the high school rodeo calves ready for the high school rodeo. And we'd sit there. And anyway, the calves are trained, okay? You wonder why when they sit there and let them go, how they always go to the certain part of the arena and go through that door. The professional ones aren't trained as much, but the high school ones, we trained them to we worked with them a lot to make them a little less easier. I'll just say to make it easier to rope, okay, for the kids. But professionals, it's not done that way. And then, you get out, like say you got to rope a calf out in the pasture or a cow, chasing them down, and then your horse is your partner. They got their job to do too. Anyway, yes, follow your dreams. Because it gives you a great self-esteem, especially when you accomplish it when you're older. Like I said, learning that stuff, it was rough, but I always had a smile on my face. I love learning shit and learning stuff that I really wanted to learn my whole life. Being a learning to be a cowboy was a tremendous experience. And now it's just been an awesome, I've worked at a few ranches and stuff. The problem today is everything's going to a modern ranch. A lot of ranches don't use horses, they use four-wheelers. Insurance purposes, cost-wise, it's hard to teach somebody to learn how to ride a horse, work on a horse, moving cows, yeah, be able to use a rope on a horse, trimming hooves, shoeing and stuff, maintenance of a horse, training a horse, years of experience. Anyway, but it was worth every bit. Anyway, check out my content. You'll see my beauty. My Kiowa's retired. He was my gelding. He's retired now, though. I've had him for 18 years. And anyway, one thing about a horse, when you ride him that much, it's different than a dog. A horse has a different mentality than a dog. And I'd say they got more of a mentality like a dolphin. But the way you bond with them and stuff, to where you ride them so much. I mean, Kiowa and Beauty, I could stop in the middle of nowhere, out in a pasture in the middle of nowhere, lay down on the ground and take a nap for a couple hours and wake up, and my horse is still right there next to me eating grass. And other people, their horses are running, here, there. They got to put hobbles on them and stuff because they have no control over them. Talking about horses, nice. Now, I don't have any one yet, but my dream is to have one. Well, the one thing about a horse, if you're going to have one, ride it. Okay? If you can't ride it, and at least 3 times a week, 30 miles a week for sure, ride it. Okay? And one thing about a horse, don't be friends with it right away. You got to dominate it. In a horse, this is the way they think in a horse herd. In a horse herd, a horse is either controlled or does the controlling. And when you're a human, you go up to it and you allow it to control you, you're screwed. You dominate that horse. And then you become a partner with it. But anyway, just remember, you're on a 1,200-pound animal that's got a brain of its own. Okay? And anyway, and don't get on, just learn how to ride right, okay? Because even the tamest horses can buck at times, especially in the springtime when they're feeling good. Anyway, that's enough about horses. I'm going to get out of here. Like I say, I appreciate everybody being here, and I'll see you all on the next live stream. This is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out of here.